Hello and welcome to the first part of a tutorial on making a platform game in Gdevelop. I want to give some credit first off to Kenny of kenny.nl for the assets that we're using. So when you're making your projects, if you get some kind of assets like audio or artwork from someone else, you put in a link in your documents like this, and to give credit to where where credit is due. Otherwise, it is plagiarism. And so I'm going to show you could click on here and see all of the assets that are there. We're going to just use a subset of these, and people have taken these as a base and done a lot more with them. So if you go here, if you're really curious, you can do that, although the main idea is for us to learn the coding part. Before we start, I did want to mention that there is problems with, or how do I say this, programming challenges with doing the code for making a platformer. And even though this is a really good game engine, if you use artwork that isn't all the exact same size for your player, then here's one of those quirks where a player that is between two platforms is going to be hopping up and down. So that's not all that important, but we're going to avoid that. Here it is. So like if you have this character here and you run the game, and we'll make something just like this, but if you go between two platforms, wow, that he just fell off for no reason. That's interesting. If I start him in a certain place, he doesn't know to be jumping or not. I don't see why he would ever jump without the space bar, but let's take a look at the artwork, which maybe will help. So if you go download, take the file that I gave you for platform tutorial resources, unzip it, and make a folder here. I'm not sure what it is on the Mac, but if you look at the content on Windows, you'll see the different sizes of each image. And there's a few things that aren't images, but mainly we're working with images. And this is kind of an unusual dimension, 70 by 70, for all these little bits of artwork. And I'm going to go down here. Yeah, see, this is a player looking towards the front. I guess I could do that. 92 pixels high. Later on, when the alien is walking, that's one frame out of, let's say, 11 total frames, because they start the counting at 1. So it changes height, and that's going to cause some problems. So, what to do? I would say when we make our game, we're going to use what the what do you call it? The default project is. We're going to create a new project like this one. But we're not going to use these assets. You need to use the assets I give you, and you'll see that there's a character that looks like the main character, but the real object that is the platformer character is a rectangle that doesn't have any frames of animation, doesn't change size, and that's really important. And in fact, you probably, if you're doing more programming, especially if you're programming all of this type of stuff from scratch, you would want everything to be a rectangle, and then make sure the game is working. Then you bring in the assets for artwork. So let's do something a little like that, but mostly use artwork. So for your project, we're going to, I'll do it very similar to what you will do. You create a new game under empty here. So the empty thing won't have any scenes. And I'm going to use specific, because I took a look at that artwork in advance and I know what kind of grid we need. It's 70 by 70 pieces of artwork mostly. 70 is the width there. I'm going to, what is it? Is it under properties here? Under resolution and rendering, I'm going to change this to where when you run the game you're going to see something 840 by 630, and I suggest you do the same because those are multiples of 70. And you can make this larger, but I want everyone to start with this, and the game world will be larger, even though we'll just be looking out of a viewport that is 840 pixels wide and 630 pixels tall. Okay, so let's see here. Let's do that. Make a new scene. I want to rename this level 1 without any spaces, just because I'd like to encourage that habit. If you go into programming, you could say level underscore 1. That's fine. And there's a grid setting here. Oh, that's the layers. Grid setting. This is what I wanted to start out with. Here is 70 and 70. And you can turn this grid off and on, but it will make things a lot easier for placing pieces of artwork on here. There's kind of a blue sky theme here, so why don't we go ahead and imitate that. It's something kind of aqua with a lot of white in it. What? I don't know here. I think that's going to be just fine. So something like that will be, I don't know, maybe bring it that way just a hair. Okay, so this is our layer for the base layer. We will work with another layer for showing the score, but all games need to have some layer for the objects to be drawn. And let's make the first thing we put here, let's say a cloud. And then all of the artwork is in the same folder. This is just kind of an oversimplified way of doing it. You're going to need to find your downloads directory. And then from there, you're going to take platform tutorial resources. And then we have some options here. Oh, before we do this, I want to save this as, this is really important. I meant to do this immediately. Save this as, go to the downloads directory, platformer tutorial resources. Okay, so now that it's saved there, I'm going to edit this object, call it cloud, and add animation, and this cloud 1, let's see if it complains. Finally, okay, so everything's in the same directory. That's great. That means if you give me your files and if I have all your artwork, it'll work just fine. So we will have a couple of options. These aren't really animated clouds, they're just some different options for the cloud. So this is a little bit of thinking about what your scenery is going to be like. I'm going to use the middle mouse wheel while I, what is it? How does this work? I think it's the, if you go up and down with the middle mouse wheel, you can see different parts of the screen. And Let's just get rid of this for now. There it is. That's enough where I can see the mouse wheel as I go up and down. I can zoom in or out with my grid, show the grid. And I want to see that, well, let's put a cloud somewhere here. Show the mask. Okay, so you have to show the mask to figure out where are you in this world where you can have more than your viewport is the mask, is what they say, even though that to me means kind of a pixel mask of pixels that are in an object. So they're using the term mask for the screen to mean this thing that is 840 pixels across and 630 pixels down. So let me find 0, 0 here. I want to see the, let's see, there's properties. You can turn, that's instances. And properties again. Okay. So let's say I put this at 0 and 0. This is really where my I need this world to kind of start there. If you click on the middle mouse button, which is a weird thing because it's a wheel, you can position the mask exactly where you want it to be. If you do that, then it's going to move it away from this corner, which is what I'm looking for. Okay, so when the game starts, it will align, I believe, to that. So you can take an object and change its XY location. I want to put a couple of clouds in here. Put one down here and other one, let's say, a little further. And well, I could also bring that one up, and using the grid, it's a lot easier to have it look aligned. I'm going to let's see. Oh, here it is. The animation for this one, which is really this artwork sprite. No animation. This one's going to be 1. So that's a nice, easy thing to do. And over here, this animation is going to be 2. And later on, I'm going to put some over here. Well, I'll just go ahead and do that now. Make that one close and this one further over. And make that one 1. So I'm thinking about a game where we'll only have 2 screens on this level. So I'm going to start building over here. The next object, I guess we could use something for restarting. Meaning, if you go off the screen or into this object, you'll have to start the scene again. Whoops. What am I doing here? Actually, I want to use a tiled sprite, and this will make sense in a moment. Restart, select an image, and we are going to use choose a new image. There we are. restart. I'm going to have to say 70 by 70 for everything here, because that will fit my grid. Okay, so if I go here, rather than getting distorted, it's going to do that. So I don't know if we'll actually need this, but in case the character jumps out off to some side where there's something barrier, let's say, this object will collide with the player's object, and then we know to restart the game. And let's put another tiled sprite on top of that one. Let's just do water. Whoops. Water. There's a water image, probably. Choose new image. Water. I thought there was water, but it's spelled liquid. Okay. There we are. And again, 70 by 70. And apply that. So let's put, let's say water there. Have a platform, and then a bunch of water here that they have to go over. And then there'll be some things up here that will support the character. I'm just kind of winging this, playing that by ear. So the player needs to stand on something. Actually, before that, let's do this dirt underscore boundary as an object where I mean, you could use this in the game, but the idea is I want something to keep the player from going too far to the left, too far to the right, which is going to be a tiled sprite where I can, it will automatically repeat as I make it larger. For instance, here's some dirt. Whoop. I need to do this 70 by 70. Alright, so it can be any size, you know. This is overly large, but very easy to deal with. And then I want to go over here and so this is way bigger than I need. The boundary of this, I'm going to put it at, let's say, 1680. And that is a multiple of 70. So I've kind of planned some of this number stuff in advance. And that means I probably will need to have a couple of blocks down here on the right. So when they get down there, they'll be okay. So I'm planning ahead for a level where they don't see the right side to get to it, and then they can stand, and maybe they'll have to go up and do something. Okay, so I think I want to go back over here to that first one. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. So I could put a dirt boundary down here. You don't have to. Maybe this is just for test purposes good to do. Temporarily, I guess I'll just put this up here. Whoops. copy that. Control C and Control V allow you to copy things like that. So this isn't necessarily the one down here, but I'm just doing it in case during testing if I need to see what happens. Okay, so this is a good start, and then I'm going to have a sprite. Let's call it alien. But it's not the alien, it's that rectangle mask. So we're going to hide this image during the actual game. Okay, so I'm going to go here. Oh, this I think it'll be fine. You don't actually. There's a thing with hitboxes here, and I prefer to do it this way, where the I think the size of this needs to be, let's go here, to this particular thing. This is a 45 by 92 pixel alien mask. And by mask, I mean it doesn't matter what color it is, it's like either transparent or not transparent. So over here, I'm going to say 0, and it's hard to see with this. This is red inside of cyan. Maybe I needed to pick a different color. So 0, 0, and then 0, 44. Over here I'm going to 45 pixels, but if I don't start at 1, then I need to count up to 44. And then over here, this one is going to be, what did I say, 90 or 92. Where's 9 and 2? Why is it doing that? I've done this wrong. 44. It's 45. So that means 44 here by 92. Alright, so I'm going to double check that it's 45 by 92. Yes, it is. Okay, so this is, if it were a different color, it would be easier to see, but this mask is exactly where that rectangle is. Okay. Sometimes to avoid a collision, to allow you to be like a 1 pixel overlap or something, you may need to shift these numbers around, I guess in the X direction or in the Y direction for how tall it is, but this is peculiar because they have 0, 0 in the upper left corner in their weird flipped Cartesian coordinate system. Anyway, I recommend these numbers, and you can tweak them later if you need to. Okay, so there's really not much going on in this game, but you can go ahead and run it. This is a test thing. We're going to have some other objects below it, but in order to make this come to life, you actually need behaviors. So let's do that. So over here under behaviors, we're going to add a behavior to the project. See under properties, we see that. Behaviors, we need that. So this is a platform character, and this is where you get all of this logic, this programming done for you. So it's really a template. And again, these things are difficult to make. You'd be surprised because you have to make some design decisions, and they can be kind of quirky. Let's go ahead and do grab platform ledges, and you'll see what happens with that. And then the dirt. the dirt is under properties and behaviors, you click behaviors, and you're going to add a behavior where it is a platform. And there's some objects options here, and it is a platform. So ledges can be grabbed. We're going to go with that. And we can just add another dirt thing here so you can see what it's like. Why not? I think this is, I don't know, something like that. We'll test it. So if you end up with something like this, you can jump and hit a platform, what they call a ledge, and get up like that. That is something, and you can fall down. And because I put that boundary down there, we can see that, you know, the area where you would restart, it's just kind of walking around down there. So let's go over here and this dirt boundary. This is a design decision. I don't know what to tell you. You're going to have to make a choice about that. I'm turning it off and running it again. And what you will see, there's no way to stick to that ledge. Okay, so already we have kind of a design decision thing that you can think about. Next, I want the actual dirt and other things. So let's do that. So for I guess what we could just call it dirt. We have a couple of options. DIRT. We're gonna, option 1 would be, let's make it, let's go middle, left, right, center. So by default it'll just be the one that is used most commonly. Middle, left, right, center. These are optional. There's a couple, you know, you don't have to program this way, it's just helpful. I'm going to use the lowercase letters for L, little L for left, little m for middle, because I think capital L is used as a key, keyboard key. So I don't want to conflict with that. Add animation. So there's a little rounded edge on the left there, and then dirt right, a little bit rounded on the right side. It's pretty subtle. And then if I want to have a centerpiece, I can do that. It's like internal. Okay, so we could do that, and then you have to do another one. You could copy and paste. If you do that, you have to copy paste. Oh, you have to click elsewhere. Huh? I don't know why it's not pasting that. That was a little strange. I think you can control click will also do a paste. So I think it's a command on a Mac and a control here. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to click on this one. 0's the middle, 1 is the left. I'm going to put a 1 there, and that what I'm trying to do is, yeah, there we are. And then click on that. We have 2. So that's nice little rounded platform there. This is going to be 1 and 2 to the right. And again, 1 and 2. You can do this however you like, but I'm thinking the typical approach will be to have some jump through platforms and some challenges to get over this water. But just for basic testing purposes, we could, if you're testing, you can just, whoops. If you're not sure about, well, I mean, if you're testing, you can copy this, and this is temporarily just kind of a safety net thing. Okay, so let's test the game. Nothing happens. All right, well, what has to happen is this also needs that behavior. So that's actually correct until I click on behavior with these properties and behaviors. So this behavior is a platform. And again, ledges can be grabbed. It's optional. Figure out what would work best for your game. I'm going to click on the middle mouse wheel and try to reposition that again. And we will have to do some work with the camera. I'm going to put in a ladder in here in a little bit, but just for testing, yes, the ledge thing worked. If I fall down, I actually can go, I can rescue my character. So good for testing purposes. Why don't we write the first bit of code here? So going through the water, I'm going to make it such that that's right before the restart. I want to make it kind of simple. This alien mask, or sorry, the restart objects down here, any kind of collision with that is going to restart the scene. So let's go ahead and do that. So click Add New Event. We have our alien mask. And there's a whole bunch of new things up here for platform characters that are because of the new behavior. But we're going to use the old collision one with restart. Doesn't matter for this game. You can just leave it as is. And this is going to be, you could type in scene, SCE, or search for scene, and what we're going to do is change the scene. I wish it would be like restart the same scene, but there's this is the same thing as if you were going to another scene. So we're gonna just move straight through level 1 and level 2. I don't really care about pausing a scene. Okay, so change scene to level 1. So I have my platform character. I do some things, and I test. Uh-oh, I did a mistake. What happens? I start over. I make a mistake over here. Yes. Okay, so that's, that's some fundamental consequences of making a mistake. Okay, so for testing purposes, I'll just, drag this down here and bring in the other 2 type of platform objects. Other than the regular platform, there's a jump through platform. That's going to be a small sprite. And I think this is, there's some options here. Let's do the bridge first. Whoops. I need some choices for how this looks. There's 2 things. Bridge I prefer this be that the bridge logs be default, and then we'll make another one which will look like this. Okay, so it's going to look like that. The player will be able to come up from underneath, but if the player is on top or above it, it'll fall down, gravity will take effect, and it will be kind of a one-way trip up through the bottom of this bridge. So to get to that, you add the behavior, get to this, platform. So down here, under where ledges can be grabbed, I'm going to turn that off for me. We're going to use jump through platform. And I'm going to make two different versions of this just so you can see. Sure, why not do that? And do another one. I don't know. I've not really worked with this very much. I wonder if you can get up here. And then this one, I don't know. I'm trying to change this image here. That would be done over here under animation 1. So maybe later on this will be moving across, and that will, then you can delete this down here. Sure, why not? So let's give that a test. So we've got the character, which if you don't have that jump through things, then you're going to need to jump from underneath. And I certainly can't do that. I can restart, get up, and underneath. I mean, notice if I stand here, that's the big difference there. So this isn't so good aesthetically. I'm glad I did this. You could do it, but the more that you have the player invisible because of the camera situation, that's not so good. So we would have to tweak the camera. So I'm going to keep these a lot lower, and then maybe make this style of jump through bridge the one that moves left and right. So let's see here. I want to do two other things just to show you that they can be done. I wonder if that would work. Okay, so let's this whole tiled sprite thing. You can grab it in the middle here and twist it. As long as it's, I think, within 60 degrees, it will work. So let's do like a 45-degree angle. And maybe this is not ideal because my player is not going to rotate. But that, to be honest, oh, take a look at that. The jump through platform kind of grabs the character a little bit. This is really cool. This is just going to work for you as is. It takes a lot of programming to make that something where you don't have to do anything. The template of the behavior, so to speak, is already there. And so you can, any of these things that we're doing for the regular platform, the jump through platform, they can be tilted. And we can also do that with a ladder. So I want to have two style of ladders. Let's do a tiled sprite ladder. I'm going to call this ladder underscore tiled. Whoops. and there's going to have to be a ladder. So let's, this is kind of interesting. There's a ladder top, but you can't really use it this way. So we'll do ladder mid, and I'll show you what I mean in a moment here. Okay, so ladder mid, apply, moving that across, and this is going to be kind of weird. I forgot to, under behavior, this is a ladder, so add behavior to the object. Platform, this one is not going to be a ledges grab type thing. Ladder. So this is something where you could put it in here. Oh, I forgot to make this 70 by 70. So that matters for the tiled sprites. Okay. So once it's here, I can, whoops, rotate it, and then do that. Well, that's kind of a weird looking. I'm just going to make it skinny, even though you can do whatever you want. But let's just see how well this this works. Wow, it's kind of off the screen here. Well, why not jump into the sky? Okay. So if you do a ladder as a tiled sprite and you don't see the top of it, you don't have to worry that the top isn't like that nice little rounded thing. You can fall through it if you don't intentionally, what do you call it? If you don't grab it, if you just jump through it, nothing happens. But if you jump and then press up or down, okay, I'm pressing up, and then you can kind of network ninja style across a fence or something. That's hanging by a thread. Okay. So I can jump and fall through it, or jump and grab and start climbing up. And then once you climb up, you're glued, and you can go up and down. Just food for thought. I'm wanting you to consider that to use all of your sprites, if it's just straight up and down, let's just do a normal ladder with 2 images. Let me add 2 images here. One is the one that we just had, ladder mid, which is the common one that I want. And then the ladder top is going to, that is the one that will, have that extra little subtle, nice visual thing because it's surrounded here and here. So let's see, this behavior is that of a platform. It's the same kind of ladder. And I'm going to put one here. And let's see if I control click and control click and control click. Oops. Double clicking on it brings up the object. This particular instance of this at the top, I'm going to change this animation to 1. So if I were to run the game, you'll see, yes, this thing at the top is rounded, at the bottom it's just like a regular square. And just to double check, jumping doesn't really do anything. Jumping and pressing up, then you're climbing it. And you can kind of do a little fence crawl, ninja style, I guess. So those 3 things, the dirt platform, and then this bridged wooden thing that you can jump up through, a jump through platform, and the ladder, you can make them look any way you want. So this is like a really good way to, start thinking about if starting from scratch, having your own artwork, your own, size of squares, which, I mean, the smaller your artwork, maybe it won't take as long. So this is really the perfect place to, um, I guess I'm going to stop here and come back and deal with the camera so that all of this over here we can see it, but no further to the left or to the right. So we'll do that next.